When I came home after that 14-hour double shift, all I wanted was my bed. The one small corner of that suffocating house that still felt like mine. It was gone. The frame, the sheets, the pillow I bought with my first paycheck. Everything. Just an empty rectangle of carpet and dust. My backpack slid off my shoulder as I stood there in disbelief, the smell of dinner still floating from downstairs. "Mom," I called, my voice cracked from exhaustion. She didn't even turn from the stove. "Oh, you're back. Don't make a mess with those work shoes. Your sister's staying in your room for a while. She needed a spare bed." I blinked. "You gave her my bed?" She scoffed. "She's been having trouble sleeping. You're barely home anyway. It's not like you need it. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video." Dad chuckled from the dining table, scrolling on his phone. "Should be grateful you've got a roof over your head at all." I just stood there, sweat drying on my neck, my back aching from lifting boxes all day. My sister Emily, perfect, pampered Emily, peeked out of my old doorway wearing my blanket around her shoulders like a trophy. "Thanks for lending me the room," she said sweetly, with that fake innocence I'd grown up hating. "I didn't lend it," I said quietly. Mom slammed the pot lid. "Stop being dramatic, Claire. You can sleep on the couch, or the floor if the couch is too soft for your attitude." Dad laughed under his breath. "A bed for a real daughter. You'll survive." Something in me cracked, but I swallowed it down. I'd learned early that arguing just made things worse. I dragged a blanket from the laundry pile and spread it on the floor beside the hallway wall, my knees pressed against the cold wood, every joint in my body throbbing from work. That night, I could hear them laughing from the dining table, wine glasses clinking, Emily bragging about her new job that Dad helped her get. Mom gushed, "We always knew you'd make us proud." I closed my eyes and tried to pretend I couldn't hear, but it was hard to ignore the ache in my spine or the sting of being treated like a stranger in my own house. When I finally drifted to sleep, it wasn't rest. It was escape. At dawn, I woke to Emily's voice complaining that I snored too loud from the hallway. Mom told me to keep it down next time. I bit my tongue until I tasted blood. Every day after that, I worked longer hours, sometimes 15, 16 hours back to back, because staying at work hurt less than coming home. Still, I left a little bit of myself on that floor every night. My dignity, my pride, my faith that things could ever get better. Until one night, when I got home to find something else missing. My blanket. I stood there, empty-handed, staring at the bare floorboards. The air smelled like fresh paint and expensive perfume, Emily's perfume. From the next room, she laughed. "I borrowed your blanket. It matches my new decor." Mom's voice floated down the hall. "Don't bother her, sweetie. She's always been jealous. She'll live." I didn't say a word. I walked past them, out the door, and into the freezing night air. I didn't even take my shoes off. I just walked, because for the first time I realized if I stayed, I'd disappear completely. The next morning, I didn't go home. I sat on a park bench with a lukewarm cup of gas station coffee, staring at my hands, cracked, red, and shaking from fatigue. I had $47 left in my account and nowhere else to go. But the idea of walking back into that house made me sick. When my phone buzzed, I flinched. It was Mom. "You're late on the rent share again. Don't think you can freeload forever." "No." "Are you okay?" "No." "Where are you?" Just that. I didn't reply. I just kept staring at the message until the screen dimmed. By noon, I forced myself to go back. Not because I wanted to, but because all my uniforms, my ID, everything I owned was still in that house. The moment I opened the door, Emily was filming herself on her phone, sitting on my bed that she'd filled with pink cushions and designer throws. She glanced up with that fake influencer smile. "Oh my God, you're back. Try not to ruin the vibe. I'm recording." "Where are my things?" I asked quietly. She blinked innocently. "Mom said we boxed them, somewhere in the garage. You're welcome to look, just don't move my stuff." From the kitchen, Mom's voice cut in. "Stop causing scenes, Claire. You were gone all night. Do you know how selfish that is? We had to explain to your sister's friends why you didn't come home. Embarrassing. I turned slowly toward her. Embarrassing? Yes. She crossed her arms. We're a respectable family. Your attitude reflects on us. You act like some factory girl? You should learn to be more like your sister. Graceful. Presentable. I was too tired to argue. I walked to the garage and found 2 cardboard boxes, ripped, crushed, and soaked with detergent water. Inside were my clothes, still damp, smelling of bleach. My photo frames were shattered, glass sticking to the fabric. They didn't even bother to tape the boxes shut. When I carried them out, Dad was in the driveway watering his car. Not the plants. His car. A shiny black sedan that he'd waxed every weekend. He looked up, squinting. You're finally doing something useful, huh? I froze. Useful? Packing. Maybe it's time you think about moving out. You're old enough, aren't you? He smirked, spraying the hose harder. The water splashed near my boxes. I jumped back just in time. Dad! Oh, relax. It's just water. But his grin told me it wasn't an accident. It was sport. Emily appeared behind him, laughing. You're so sensitive, Claire. It's no wonder you never fit in anywhere. And there it was, the sentence that always cut deepest. Never fit in. I didn't even bother defending myself. I just carried my wet boxes back inside, past the laughter, past the smell of garlic bread and perfume, into the cold hallway where my floor spot used to be. But the floor was taken too. Emily had dumped old shopping bags there as if to erase the last trace of me. So I sat in the kitchen instead. I could hear them upstairs, Dad bragging about Emily's promotion, Mom talking about throwing her a celebration dinner, Emily giggling. Their world spun perfectly fine without me. Then I remembered something, the pay raise that was supposed to kick in this month. A small bump, barely enough to cover my commute, but still, proof that my hard work meant something. That night, while everyone slept, I sat by the window and filled out rental applications on my cracked phone. Every listing felt like a fantasy. Too expensive, too far, too impossible. But the thought of staying under that roof was worse. At 3 a.m., my message notification pinged again. It was my manager. A spot just opened up for the night shift apartment. Small but safe. Interested? I stared at the screen for a long time. My throat tightened. Yes, I was interested. By sunrise, I'd packed what was left of my life into 2 plastic bags and left the key on the counter. When Mom found the note later that day, she called nonstop. Then came the texts. You're being dramatic. Don't you dare shame this family. We took care of you for years. You owe us. Away. That word made me laugh. I started the new shift that night, exhausting, greasy, endless. But when I lay down afterward on that stiff mattress in the staff apartment, something strange happened. Silence. No yelling, no insults, no footsteps storming down the hall, just the quiet hum of the heater and my own breathing. For the first time in my life, I wasn't sleeping under them. I was free, in the smallest, cheapest way possible, but free. Weeks turned into months. I saved everything I could. I bought a used bike to get to work, then a small coffee maker, then finally, one thing that felt like healing, a new bed. Nothing fancy, just soft enough to remind me I didn't have to sleep on the floor anymore. Then one day, as I was leaving the apartment, I saw a familiar car pull up. The black sedan, my father's. He rolled down the window, his expression cold. Your mother wants to talk. Mom stepped out, her heels scraping the curb. But she didn't look the same. Her perfect hair was frayed, her lipstick smudged. She held an envelope like it weighed a ton. Claire, she said, voice trembling slightly. We need help. Your father's hours got cut. Emily's moving out with her boyfriend and we fell behind on the mortgage. I didn't say a word. She stepped closer, her perfume clinging to the air between us. We thought maybe you could lend us something. You've been doing better, haven't you? I almost laughed. Better? I sleep 4 hours a night and live off coffee. Dad scowled. Don't exaggerate. We're family. Families help each other. My jaw clenched. You mean like when my bed disappeared? When my things got soaked in bleach? When I slept on the floor while Emily got your help? Mom flinched. We didn't mean it that way. You're twisting everything. No, I said quietly. For once, I'm not twisting anything. You did. Her lips parted, but no words came out. That was the moment I saw it, the panic, the realization that the daughter they'd trampled had finally learned to stand without them, and that their control was gone. I let them stand there in silence, the streetlight flickering over their faces, before I said the one thing they'd never expected to hear from me. You told me to sleep on the floor, so maybe it's time you learn how that feels. Then I turned and walked away, leaving them in the cold, their perfect world finally cracking open. A month later, I got a letter, handwritten, torn edges, smudged ink, Mom's handwriting. I almost threw it out, but curiosity won. Claire, it began, we're losing the house. Your father's been laid off. Emily stopped speaking to us. I know we've said things we shouldn't have, but we're your parents. Please help us. I stared at those words until they blurred. We've said things we shouldn't have. No apology, no ownership, no acknowledgement of the nights I cried on the floor because I wasn't good enough to deserve a bed. Just desperation wrapped in entitlement. I didn't respond. Instead, I folded the letter neatly and slid it under my coffee mug, using it as a coaster. Somehow, that felt right. 2 weeks later, they showed up at the diner. I was wiping down a booth when I saw them through the window. Mom in a faded coat, Dad leaning on the counter with that same superiority he used to wear like armor. Only now, it looked heavy. When they stepped inside, my co-workers looked up. My stomach turned. Claire, Mom said softly, please, we just need a few thousand to get back on track. We'll pay you back. I took a deep breath and smiled. Oh, now I'm useful? Dad grunted. We're not here to fight. You've made your point. But you can't just abandon your family. My laughter startled the server behind me. Abandon? I repeated. You made me sleep on the floor after a 14-hour shift, Dad. You laughed while I was covered in dust and back pain. And you called me family? Mom's eyes darted around, embarrassed. Please keep your voice down. Oh, now you care about how things look. Don't worry, my coworkers already know what kind of people raised me. She flinched. We didn't mean to hurt you. We thought you'd understand. You always bounce back. Yeah, I said coldly. And that's exactly why you thought you could break me. I could see it then, the moment their arrogance cracked, the silence that replaced their excuses. I walked to the counter, grabbed my purse, and pulled out a small white envelope. I handed it to Mom. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside wasn't money. It was a note. You taught me what comfort costs. Now, learn to live without it. She froze. Dad's face went red. You think this is funny? No, I said softly. It's closure. They stood there speechless, as if the world had flipped upside down. And maybe it had, because for once they were the ones begging, and I was the one who didn't have to answer. I turned to walk away, but Mom's voice cracked behind me. You'll regret this. I paused at the door, looking back just once. I already regretted giving you every chance before this one. And then I left them standing there, surrounded by strangers who saw exactly what they were. 2 people who had finally run out of power. That night, I came home to my small apartment, my little space of peace. The air smelled of coffee and laundry detergent. Mine, not theirs. I collapsed onto my bed, and laughed through tears. It wasn't soft, it wasn't fancy, but it was mine. No one could take it. For the first time in years, I slept soundly, and when I woke up, sunlight spilling through the blinds, I realized something beautiful. Revenge didn't have to be loud. Sometimes it's as simple as sleeping in your own bed while they finally learn what the floor feels like. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.